Welcome, everybody, to Everything Self Love and Recovery. And today I've invited Cynthia W. with over 36 years of sobriety from Rogers, Arkansas. And I'm going to ask y'all to just welcome her in. And Cynthia, come in and tell us something about yourself.
Hi, Wendell. Glad to be here. Yeah, I didn't think it would be this long, that I would be sober. I still have family members waiting for me to get drunk. They didn't think I could do it, and I really haven't done it. It's been God, you know. Um, it's a one day at a time deal for me. Um, Sometimes 1 minute at a time, and um, it was at my friend's husband's birthday party the last time I drank. I had a newborn baby, and my daughter's father had came back into our lives, and we got invited to his birthday party, and we went over there, and I tried to drink and couldn't. I didn't drink during my pregnancy, but I tried to drink, to be in the party, and I just couldn't do it, but so that was the last time I drank. And because I knew what would happen. I am a blackout drunk driver when I drink. That's who I become. Maybe not the first drunk drink, but soon thereafter. And so that's the last time I drank.
Wow,
Thank God.
36 years ago.
Yeah.
Whew,
Yeah.
that is an awesome feat. I'm glad you stayed it one day at a time because as I'm coming back into the program, I realize that it is a one day at a time thing. All we have is today,
Oh
based,
yeah.
let's say, based on our contingent. I'm trying to quote it, and I'll mess it all up. So, I won't quote it. I do know a little bit about the big book, but anyway, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming and taking out the time to share some experience, strength, and hope with us about everything self love and recovery. Emphasis on the recovery after 36 years. So uh, I'll just dive right in, with so many years of sobriety. What has been the most important aspect of your self love journey in maintaining your sobriety?
Well, first off, I really did it for my daughter, you know. Um, I didn't I didn't think I'd be a good mom, and I questioned my ability to parent, um, even sober, you know. Most women have mom guilt, and it doesn't matter if you're Queen Elizabeth or, you know, a drug addict. You question your mom guilt. You have mom guilt, and so that's why I didn't drink, and I didn't stay with my daughter's father because, to tell you the truth, I knew it wouldn't work when I met that man, but lust and drinking. And I'm so grateful that God gave me Sadie, because I'd be dead in a ditch. I'd have been dead if he hadn't gave her to me, and I had a reason to stop drinking. He gave me a good reason, and now she's giving me grandchildren. So I have a good reason to love myself and to love on those babies, as long as they'll let me hold them. They grow up so fast. But yeah, that's my life. I'm a grandma. I had a friend tell me that last night we went out to dinner, and to a concert, a Christian concert at a church. And she said, I just remember a few years ago when my twins were born, my great grandbaby twins were born, and you were boo hooing about just being a cat grandma and a dog grandma because that's all your kids would get was fur babies. And now you've got three grandbabies. And I'm like, yeah, and my life is terrific. Can't wait to spend money on them. Can't wait to love on them. Can't wait to babysit every chance I get, even though it makes me dog tired. And my husband's like, really? But, I lived this long just for that purpose. I believe that, God didn't save me from being a drunk driver for no reason. I believe my purpose today is to love on those grandbabies and to be an example to my daughters and to encourage women to get sober, and to stay sober and to tell them that one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, we can do it together. And I'll be glad to help them.
Absolutely. As you said, to tell them to get sober. The key point is to stay sober one day at a time. The 12 steps.
And God's big. God's big. God'll help you. I had a God when I came in. I had been taking my daughter to church because I didn't have a lot to offer her. At that time, I didn't make much money at my job. And I had changed jobs because I wouldn't be able to afford family insurance at the place I was working at for $4.50 an hour. It was going to take almost my whole check to buy family insurance for us. And so I changed jobs to a better job, I thought, but it was at a factory, working 50 hours a week. And the other 10 hours afforded me to pay for daycare because I wasn't with her father and he was a deadbeat dad. And anyways,
I'm going to
I
not
just,
beat up on guys on this show. I'm a guy, but a deadbeat is a deadbeat. So go ahead. No worries.
yeah, he just, for whatever reason, he did try, but then I told him that I didn't trust him not to drink
Absolutely.
when he had her because I did pick him up from his Saturday job and let him spend a few hours with her, with his girlfriend. And they would drink and smoke pot in front of my baby. And I was working 10 hours a day and I didn't get that much time with her at that time. And I just thought, this is crazy, because he just wasn't, um,
Responsible.
yeah, and I felt guilty for a long time about that. And then, 8 years later, God put a man in my life that was just supposed to be a blind date.
Wow.
And we went on a blind date, and we're going to celebrate our 28th wedding anniversary on December 7th.
Oh
And
my.
it was just supposed to be a blind date. One night stand is what his friends had planned for us.
And he,
And
he drink.
28 years later, he's still coming home from work, and I still am amazed, because, you know, I'm happy.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
loved. I'm well loved.
Well loved. And in order to be well loved, then you had to have some kind of, or developed some kind of self love. So, how has your recovery journey influenced your understanding and practice of self love?
Well, when my daughter was little, like I said, I was going to church so that she would know God because I didn't have a lot to offer her. So I started going to church and I made friends with the music minister and his wife, and they had small children. And I never thought I'd be friends with a pastor and a pastor's wife, but they're some of my best friends, and they've known me the whole time I've been sober. So, and I never thought that was possible for a drunk like me. And so then when Sadie turned 2, I um, was going to drink because she was 2 and she didn't really need me to be that kind of mom that she needed when she was an infant. She was growing up a little bit more, and I was going to drink. So I dropped her off at my mom's house and went to an AA meeting and found a sponsor that I knew from another 12-step program and worked the steps and went to as many meetings as you can go to when you have a small child and you work 10 hours a day. And was cruising along pretty good. And then some guy was bashing Jesus at the meeting. And so I left and went to church and stayed in church for a number of years and just went to church. And I had a group of friends that were a little bit younger than me that were married, and I would go to all those marriage conferences with them and women's conferences, Christian women's conferences. And I really worked on myself, after I worked the 12 steps. And I still felt a lot of shame over my past, and I was waiting for someone to call my child a bastard.
Wow.
I just was, and being a single mom, it was just hard, you know, and I just worked and went to church and did Sunday school, and I didn't drink. And my brothers, I stayed away from my brothers because they were drinking, and a little bit of pot smoke won't hurt her, that kind of stuff. And I was like, you people are crazy, and that's just not the life that I wanted for my children, or myself, really. I wanted something different.
Right.
And I got it. By gosh, I got it,
Working the
And
12.
then after I married my husband, um, I stayed away from AA and kind of made him my God in our marriage, and didn't really get to a lot of meetings. But his cousin's wife would say, don't you think you need a meeting? Because she was real into AA. Don't you think you need a meeting? Because I'd be complaining to her. And he counseled my husband a lot. And she would say, don't you think you need a meeting? And I'd go occasionally to watch her get her chip or to a speaker meeting. And then I started going regular with her,
Mm.
and we became close. And that was wonderful. It was wonderful. And then I kind of fell out again of AA
Wow.
for no reason in particular, but you know,
So can
you
you
know,
tell the difference of you? Because for me, staying away from meetings, and I stayed away from meetings. I got sober, been trying to stay sober since 91. Put some time together in and out of the rooms. February 2nd, 2000, I came in here and stayed sober for about 15 years, 300 of my days. And in 2016, I decided to pick up a drink. And my main reason for drinking again was I was around a bunch of folks. I got away from the meetings. So staying away from the meetings for me kind of gave me that great obsession that the book talks about, that every abnormal drinker desires to drink like normal people, people who you see drinking with impunity. And so, of course, I joined them, and my life went straight down. All of the yets, eligible. I ended up going to jail, ended up divorced, and all kind of things in process. So I'm glad you're back in the rooms, and I'm glad I got a chance to meet you. That's
right, right. Well, see, I married my husband and I got to be the designated driver. And um in 2017, he called me from downtown and was too drunk to drive home.
mm,
And I told him, you get your own ride home. And I went to bed.
oh,
And the next morning, he asked me where I was going, and I told him that I was going downtown and get a haircut, and then I was going to go get some tequila
Mm.
because I was done being a designated driver.
About
So I went down.
how
I
long,
huh? What?
about how long had you been sober when in 2007?
Um, 2017. So that was 89 to 2017.
16 years. Or
Yeah. Yeah. Long time, you know. And I'd been a designated driver since 97,
you were on a pickup
you
and
know. And I was just going to, you can't beat them, join them, Wendell.
yes.
And so I left the house with every intention because it was easy here in Benton County because it was a dry county. While they had made Benton County a wet county. So there was alcohol in my grocery store now. I had to walk by it. And they put it right up front. At the beginning, they put it way in the back, but then they put it right up front. So it was easier to just pop in and get out, And that was kind of hard for me. I'm not going to lie, even after all those years, because they got some really pretty wine bottles and such. But now there's a liquor store on every corner. It's crazy that they need so many, but oh well. Anyway, so I told my husband that I was going to go get some tequila and a haircut, or a haircut first and then some tequila. So I went and got the haircut. And then I went down the street that I always went down by the AA hall, and there were cars parked around it. So I went around back and knocked on the door, and a man named Dave opened the door. There was a men's meeting going on. And he opened the door and he said, "What do you need?" And I said, "I need a meeting right now." And he goes, "Well, this is a men's meeting." And I said, "I don't care. I need a meeting right now. I'm going to drink." And he goes, "Well, there's going to be some coarse language." I said, "I need a meeting. I don't care about language. I just need a meeting." And I started bawling. So Dave let me into this men's meeting. And I went to that men's meeting. I went to the ladies' meeting that followed. I went to the noon meeting. I helped clean up after the noon meeting. I went to the speaker meeting that night. I went to the Sunday meeting the next day. I went to the 8 o'clock meeting the next Sunday. I went to every meeting that they had. They had 3 meetings a day. And I did that till that urge went away, you know,
So you
because I know who I am when I drink, Wendell, and I did not want to be that woman,
ask, do you
you know.
say meeting makers make it, or do you think,
No, no, no. Cindy drives drunk, and it's really expensive now.
yeah, some of those yets come to you, DUIs and things of that?
Yeah, I had 2 DWIs, and I know, I was afraid that like you said, it didn't take you long to lose everything, and I got a lot to lose. I don't I don't want to disappoint my family and my husband and now I know I wouldn't be able to see my grandchildren if I started drinking. They wouldn't trust me to take care of those babies.
You know, there's a section in the book that says wife, no wife, kids, no kids, jobs, no job. We just do not drink. And then there's a section in more about alcoholism that talks about you would think the alcoholic would stop for love of family and all of the reasons that they give. Can he switch from hard liquor to beer and all of the suggestions that it gives over in more about alcoholism. So I hear you saying that you use all of those things to your advantage. Is that
Yeah.
awesome?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you that I spent years depressed.
Mhm.
I had both of my hips replaced when I was 48. And from that factory job, and I lost my identity because I wasn't working, and lost the money because I was, half the income. And it was really hard for me, and I had a second grader and a daughter that was going into high school, and it was just really hard not to, because I loved with gifts. I could buy them things, you know, and and it was hard
So,
not to be able to do that. And I'm gonna be honest, I did get a little bit off onto the opioid thing with the I probably got a couple scripts refilled more than I should have,
yeah,
with because I like to avoid pain.
absolutely.
That's what I do. I like to avoid pain. I realize now that pain is the touchstone of growth. Now, now I can say that and not go, but it's taken me a while.
So, what would you say to how has your perspective on living life's terms evolved? I understand you hang out with your kids and the grandkids and you do all of that. Can you share a specific moment or experience that tested your self-love as you just did? You know,
Well, that moment right there when I told my husband that I was going to go get a haircut and get tequila, that because I know my life would have ended in a drunk driving
oh,
if I had gotten tequila.
did you not?
That would have been poison. That would have been poison. That would have been starting a dumpster fire, and my life would have ended, Wendell. And we would not be talking today,
Absolutely.
probably.
At least you didn't get stuck in Porta Johns and get so paranoid that, uh, anyway, I ended up getting diagnosed
Yeah.
with schizophrenia and all kind of things. I'm so grateful, that I found the 12 steps in the book. And I do quote,
Oh,
work the steps on a regular basis to remind me and to help other alcoholics to achieve recovery. It's the primary
right,
purpose of alcoholics. So, uh,
right.
wow.
It's only in serving others do I have any kind of self love.
Hmm.
That's only, I remember the first time that I actually felt happy for someone else. I have a friend who goes to Minnesota to see her family, and I was so jealous that I would pull away and be mean to her like 2 weeks before she'd leave to go see her family. Because I was so jealous. I mean, and she'd even take me up there to spend time with her family sometimes for celebrations and stuff. But I would just pull away from her and be mean, because I thought her family was perfect. And my family, we did put the fun in dysfunctional sometimes, but, we're like, we're not going to be the Waltons ever. My mom wanted us to be the Waltons, and a lot of people don't understand that reference. I hope you do. But you know, she wanted us to be that before she passed away, and it just never worked, and we were too far gone.
Yes.
But I was jealous of other people's families, and you got to do the work. You got to deposit the love into the children to get the love back. You
Absolutely.
got to deposit the love into your relationships to get the love back. It's service.
Absolutely. Bill Wilson says in one of his stories that unless I enlarge my spiritual life through work and self sacrifice for others, I will not be able to meet the certain trials and hard spots that's coming. He didn't say if I was sober or if I went to church or if I served.
No, that's right.
I have to work on a regular basis. Self-sacrifice through work and self-sacrifice, and I thought that if I went to church and did all of these things for God, that I would be, but I learned in the steps, that it's nothing beats giving it away and seeing another alcoholic recover from alcoholism. They say seeing the lights come on.
Right. Well, that same man that let me in the back door of that meeting, I saw him get his like 10-year chip or something. And at the end of his talk, he said, "Go home and love your family. Just go home and love your family. That's the hardest place to put this program into practice, but just go home and love your wife and kids or your husband and kids. Just do that." you know
So what advice
and
do you give to others who are struggling with maintaining sobriety while practicing self-love?
y- yeah, it is because I am selfish and self-seeking and I'm an extremist. I can still do that today, even after all these years, and I still want mine first.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. um
Steps were supposed to help us get rid of some of that.
Oh, it does. It does. And then, if I let myself get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or I slip up a little bit with, like, my brother took me, to get my cataract surgery. And then instead of stopping at McDonald's to eat afterwards, I suggested Cracker Barrel so I could shop. And so I overshopped, and now I'm like, "Oh, I gotta tell Mike I overshopped." And so that's kind of, you gotta tell him. And I know it'll be okay, but I really don't want to tell him again. But I really like the new earrings and the toys I bought for my grandkids.
I can only imagine Amazon was coming to my house every day, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, yeah,
It was crazy. I was like, "What is this?" One addiction for another. That's all right.
yeah,
That one won't
yeah, yeah.
put you
But
in the
I'm not
corner.
crashing the car. That's what my friend said last night. We alcoholics can rationalize. We're
Absolutely.
still rationalizers. And I have been listening to Father Bill W. and two-way prayer. I've been practicing that. That has changed up my recovery a lot. I found out about that end of September at a retreat in Oklahoma. And so I've been listening to Father Bill W.'s podcast, and he goes through um, stuff, books on meditation and old timers and Dr. Bob and the old timers and stuff. And I've learned a lot and about the Oxford group and such. And it's really made a lot of sense to me to go back to the source, you
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely.
and,
Go
you
ahead.
know, I can't separate AA from the source.
Well, I have a little different story about that, which,
Yeah.
religion for me, I was smart. I'm an ordained deacon, and I would go back to church every time I went out, came back in. Relapse is not a requirement for this program, for you to stay in this program. If you are listening, you do not ever have to drink or drug or have all of the behaviors that I associated with drinking and drugging, one day at a time. But it is part of my story, and I did go back and forth.
Right, right. You find your own higher power.
So every time y'all
Yeah.
steps, made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, I went right back to church and my belief and my understanding of it. What has happened through working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't have that same belief. Of course, it connected me with a spirit and a power greater than myself, but I'm not any longer adhering to a God that gave me free will and going to send me to hell because I thought of it. And so when I heard the acorn and the oak tree, it kind of changed my perspective. And that's how I found and started working the steps and found the spirit, a power greater than myself through working the 12 steps.
Right. AA let God out of the box,
Absolutely.
you know.
How
For
has,
me, let God out of the box.
yes, indeed. How has the concept of forgiveness, both of oneself and of others, helped you in your self-love journey? I'm sorry.
Um, it's amazing. Forgiveness, um, like when I first met my husband, I asked him because I got a bad picker, Wendell. I got a bad picker. Okay, so I asked him what was the worst thing that he had ever done. And he told me that his father was in prison. That wasn't even his crap, and I had to tell him that I had had an abortion when I was 18. And he still stayed with me. And I was like, that's not your crap. What's the worst thing that you've done? He was like, well, that's the worst thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that wasn't even his crap, but that's what he said. So, it's taken me years to be able to say that word because I did not say that word. And I know a lot of women don't say that word. A lot of women are up in arms today about that word, and I don't know how I feel about, what's going on in our country today about that word. I have women, I have two daughters, I have two granddaughters, and it's upsetting to me, that I feel like we're going backwards in reproductive rights, but then again, I know the torture and unforgiveness that I went through
Right.
because I did that shameful thing. And it allowed me to pile a lot more shameful acts on top of that one thing that I did,
That's one of the worst
you
things
know,
is shame.
and I'm forgiven. I'm forgiven today. I'm forgiven, and I can forgive anybody, anything, and just don't mess with my kids.
Absolutely.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Or anybody's kids for that matter.
Probably six daughters, blended families, two from my first marriage, two from my second marriage, a host of grandkids. Yeah, I got a few running around here with
Yep.
biological myself. So yeah, it's amazing. Kids
Yep.
truly
It's
resilient.
a good life.
Absolutely. What does the phrase "you love you" mean to you in the context of your sobriety and self-love?
You love you. Well, I had to get to a place where I knew who I was because I didn't know who I was until I worked the steps of AA. I had to understand who my higher power was. Um, I had to, be right sized. My ego had to be right sized. Because my mom told me when I went to meet my husband's family, now don't act better than them. And I was like, I don't act better than people. Oh, yes, you kind of look like you do act better. I I didn't think that. Um, I I just had myself in a bubble. I just went through the motions, did what I needed to do to get shit done. That's how I lived my life. Wasn't bothering anybody, just doing, I didn't think I made a difference to anybody, didn't think it mattered. Didn't think I mattered, didn't think it. In fact, when people told me they wanted to be like me, I turned and ran the other direction because I did not want people to be like me, because I had such a low um, part of myself. Now, if you want to be like me, good on ya. I'm okay.
Yes. I
I'm
used
okay. We can do this.
I had a friend that told me, man, you're a hell of a guy. I went, oh, man, you're good, you this, that, the other. And I looked him in his eyes one day and said, man, I really want to meet that guy that you say I am. And
Yeah.
through the 12 steps, I've met that guy. And I am an okay guy today.
Yeah. Yeah. I can look myself in the mirror and go, you know, you are okay today. You know,
That was
I
fun.
don't.
Practice that.
Eh.
I practice when I wake up in the morning. I wake up at 4:45. I look myself in the mirror and tell myself I love you probably 30 times. I'm loved, I'm loving, I'm lovable. Then I pray and meditate. I journal for about 20, 30 minutes. And then I jump on that meeting that you and I met at.
Yeah. That's a great meeting.
I love it. It gets my day started. And I always say it's too early for people to wake up lying that early in the morning.
Yeah, you're right.
Any last words you'd like to say about self-love or 36 years of sobriety or the journey or anything you'd like to talk with us about?
You know, um, it is a journey, it's not a destination. You know, I used to, back in the day, I always thought, when I get here, this will happen. You
Mm,
know, when I move here, when I get to junior high, I'll be this person. When I get to high school, I'll be this person. When I get through with nurses training, I'll be this person. I dropped out of nurses training. When I get to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I'll be this person. No, I was always there. I was always there. I'm supposed to be right here, Rogers, Arkansas. Grandma,
right.
Zoo Crew member, Zoo Crew 22 member. I love it. I
Absolutely.
love my life.
That's the thing. For those that don't know, Zoo Group 22 is a Zoom meeting that we meet on, and the link I'll put it in the description of this podcast, and it has a meeting almost 24 hours, 22 hours out of the day. And
Yep.
a lot of great people meet together and discuss I was trying to say a decent word, but discuss their,
Solution.
yeah, I'm not always lost for words. So there's solutions to their problems when it comes to alcohol and bad behaviors for me and, and all the
Yeah.
going around. Cynthia, it has been great. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us at 36. And just congratulations, February. My sobriety date is February 14th. So I'm
We'll have to get together and celebrate.
absolutely, I don't know if I'm
Hey.
going to Arkansas. Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much. It's been really a pleasure. And we just appreciate you. Good luck in the future and work the steps
Oh,
and
yeah.
help another alcoholic.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me, Wendell. I was really shocked.
Well, it's the years and maturity of, coming through some things in life is the way I ask individuals to come to the show. If they talk about the 12 steps, if they talk anything about self-love, you're more than welcome to come on to the show. It doesn't have to be about the 12 steps. I'm more concerned with the message that you can love yourself no matter what has happened in my past. And I've
Right.
done some stuff. uh, I can recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and the 12 steps help me do that. So thank you so
Right.
much for coming out.
Well, I'm 17 with 50 years experience. So,
Got two buttons over here I can push and get some applause.
I love that.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bye bye. See you in the morning.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.